Hey everyone, Ryan here, MandRproductions, and welcome to my review of the LEGO Star Wars 2022 DAGOBAH Jedi Training, set number 75330 with 1,000 pieces even. It'll set you back $80 if you want to own it yourself, and in today's video we'll find out if it's worth that price point. Now for that $80, you're getting 3 minifigs there with Luke, Yoda, and R2. We'll show those off momentarily, as well as a very nice diorama build of Yoda's hut, some tree limbs, and Luke's X-Wing wing, and on the side you'll see this is part of the 18+ Diorama Collection, so you'll find that noted on the side of any Diorama Collection sets. The back of the box gives you the dimensions, a different angle of the build, and a few different product shots slash a shot from the movie of Luke trying to force his X-Wing out of the swamp, which without Yoda's help doesn't go very well. Man, I don't know what it was. That felt tough to break open. Maybe they added more glue on here finally. As you might be inclined to believe, there are Legos. And because this is a special 18+ set, there's a little bit of extra writing inside about the DAGOBAH Jedi Training set and scene and all that kind of jazz. You can pause to read if you like. I honestly don't usually read these things. I don't know why, but it's kind of just lost the magic to me. I just kind of flip through it at the beginning of my review and never bother to read what they have to say about it. I don't know why, I just can't make myself care. The first and only full-size minifig in the set is DAGOBAH Luke Skywalker. One thing about this DAGOBAH Luke that is different from the 2 previous versions is that he doesn't have the backpack apparatus or anything of the sort to carry Yoda on his back. Obviously, it's not being a playset. That seems to have been something they omitted here, which I'm kind of all for. I like the clean look here. It doesn't extend his neck up like it would on some older figures, and he's just got a nice wet look to him, I guess, with the dark tan pants. I really just love the way this character looks overall, and he does have 2 faces, so you can also have him with his meditation face, which I think is a really nice change up. It's a pretty big difference from one to another. Our next figure is Yoda, of course, for Yoda's hut, and it's a great looking figure. He's got the rubberized ears or head, just generally so that it doesn't just snap off if you were to run into his ears or something. Like, you just don't have to worry about that sort of thing. So really nice Yoda figure, not much to say there. And then for me, perhaps the most exciting minifig here is R2-D2. He's got something new around back. For the first time ever in 2022, LEGO Star Wars is doing back prints for astromech droids, and especially on this DAGOBAH version where he's been dirtied up, it looks fantastic. It's kind of the final frontier for astromech droids to me as far as what they can do with the existing design, and it looks very, very good. And even the dome on this guy, while it's slightly slanted and tilted to the right. What am I saying? It's tilted to the right pretty hard. I was going to say it wasn't that bad, but it's that bad. That is still one of their quality issues that they have yet to fix in the year 2022, and I don't foresee it really ever being fixed at this point. 20 years and it's still the same. You can see it's tilted slightly down and to the right, so yeah, that's a little bit annoying. But either way, with this back print, it's still going to be one of the better looking R2-D2 minifigures you can go out and get. Now it's time to talk about Yoda's hut. It is a fantastic looking build. I'm very impressed with what we have here. And it's not a playset, so it's a little bit weird in some aspects, which we'll get to, but I still think on its face as a display set, it just looks so good. On the very front of the model, we have the LEGO Star Wars logo and then the quote from Yoda that says, "Do or do not. There is no try." My particular LEGO Star Wars logo, the print is weird. It has like this weird cut in the LEGO logo, so not really sure what was going on there, but mine just, it looks like it's falling off or cracking apart. It's kind of weird for me, so I'm not really sure what happened there. That aside, the rest of the build externally is really sharp. It's just a black border outline for kind of a vignette style, and then you have these grill pieces that kind of break up the design and add a little bit of depth and color, so it's not just straight black, and they're in this nice silver color, so they really do pop, and they are found all the way around the model, so that looks nice. And then if we turn our attention to the bottom right here, we have the wing of the X-Wing in the water. I guess it would have been nice to have more X-Wing with this set. It's kind of crazy how the original DAGOBAH came with a full X-Wing and full Yoda's hut, and this one comes with a full Yoda's hut and then some, to be sure, but only a single wing of the X-Wing, which makes sense given what this is supposed to display, but it's just kind of interesting to see the different concepts for sets throughout the year. And so as we move away from the wing, which is propped up at a very nice angle there, you'll notice there's a lot of swamp going on, and you might think that this is a bit of a pain to build, and it it kind of is, it kind of isn't. I've heard different people say different things, but I'll give you my take. So you have bag 3, which in the instructions literally takes up 2 pages. It's kind of crazy. You don't see that often. And essentially step 1 of bag 3 is to place down like 39 of these 1x1 plates with the studs on top. And then step 2 is 177 tiles. And I thought it was going to be worse than it was, but if you just go through and do it in the order they want you to do it, it's not that bad, because especially with the 177 tiles, all you have to do is fill in all the blank spaces on the same level, so it's not like you have to go through and watch where you're putting them. You just go through placing them down on the bottom level of the swamp as it is during that part of the build. So yeah, it wasn't that difficult. But as it turns out, the look achieved through that building process is really good. And they actually layered underneath the water slightly different colored plates as well. So you can see it going from kind of bright to kind of dark. And that's not lighting, that's not shadowing. That is just different colored plates of Lego underneath the translucent dark green on top. And yeah, I just think it's a really good swampy look. Then we have some plants around the build. The plants I like. I think they look good, but they do kind of fall off easily. They are something that I have noticed are a bit of a problem. They're a bit wobbly in some ways, so that's something to look out for. Again, it's not a playset. It's just something that can fall off in the course of moving the set around if you're not careful, so you could lose some pieces. Speaking of things that can fall off, the snake is actually completely loose on here, which is something I'm not a huge fan of. Like, I wish there was some way to connect it onto the build, but there is not. So you do get a snake, and that's kind of a nice addition. Like, it can just be over here, whatever you want to do with it. Just some nice life to have in the swamp, because you don't have the big monster underneath the swamp included. Anyway, we have a bit of shoreline, I suppose, right in front of Yoda's hut with the dark tan for the dirt there. We also have a torch and a lamp included over to the right. And these aren't crates or anything, so they can't hold anything. If you want to reenact Luke's training, you can with this clear piece that Luke can actually hold on to kind of flip himself upside down and look like he's using the Force, as well as you can take Yoda and have him nearby, and there's space for R2-D2 as well. It can be a bit tight there, but I think overall everyone does fit in nicely, and especially if you take your time to spread them out a little bit more than I did there. Now, externally speaking, for the rest of the hut, it's a great design. We've got a lot of swamp trees above the hut with some foliage hanging down, which looks really good. This is built as the instructions have it. However, you could change this around quite a bit if you wanted a slightly different look. I just like the way the instructions had it. And then you have a lot of roots coming out and down into the swamp, which they've done a really nice job of designing so it doesn't look like anything's wrong or like out of place. I don't know how else to say it, like, but all the roots go perfectly into the water. It doesn't look like it's something that doesn't actually continue below, if that makes sense. So I'm pretty pleased with the overall look of the roots on this set and like the trees and everything. Like, it just looks great. And then as for the hut itself, you've got a couple of like air vents on the side there. Hopefully you guys can see that in focus, but this is just kind of small openings where I guess smoke or something, or just light can get in. I guess the smoke is coming out of the side here on the left. Not like a candle piece in there, but you can see how small of an attachment it is inside of the existing piece there. So it's kind of cool, like the way that some of this stuff is built. Unlike the playset versions, the roof doesn't come off or anything, and you can see Yoda standing out front there will not fit while standing up straight. So if you want Yoda to go into his hut, you have to kind of lay him down and push him in. Now, this is what it looks like from the back. Not quite as pretty as it does from the front, but this does give us access to the back of Yoda's hut, which has a little bit more going on, including Yoda's lightsaber. There's a cauldron, which is where all the smoke is leading to, obviously over here to the right. And inside the cauldron, there's actually a couple studs. You're not probably going to be able to see them here, but there's like a couple studs of, we'll just call it Yoda stew. And then in and to the left, there's actually a holocron at the back there, as well as a very small bed for Yoda to lay in. So it turns out it's a very tight fit, and Yoda kind of sort of doesn't really fit in his bed. I mean, if you count that as fitting, I guess. But like, yeah, I'm sure there might be another way you can kind of finagle him in there, or, you know, but like, I have had a heck of a time of trouble trying to get him in there, and it's not something that seems like it's the intended use. I think really the best way to look at the interior of Yoda's hut here is, while yes, Yoda can stand at the very end of it, he's not really intended to be going any further in. You know, your hands, especially as an adult in a set made for adults, are going to be too big to really fit further than a couple studs in and do anything of meaning in there. Like, I've even knocked this cauldron out a few times, and you can see that cauldron is not very deep in there. It is a pain to get put back in there, and it's only like 3 studs in. So That's just my take on the interior. It's there for looks, but not for use. Out of all three diorama sets, I think this one is the least overpriced. Obviously, waiting for a sale is always going to be better for you, and usually you can find most LEGO Star Wars sets for 20% off a few months after their release. So if you're willing to wait a little longer and try to find a better deal for yourself, that definitely could work out. But I don't think you'll have a particularly sour taste in your mouth at $80 for this one. It just feels like a good value. It passes the eye test. Nothing to do with price per piece there. This feels like it's worth $80, and I like that. This set's getting a 9 out of 10 from me. It is fantastic. I would absolutely recommend it if you were thinking about picking it up. You can check out more LEGO Star Wars 2022 set reviews on the end screen now.